Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Sarah Scoop Show. Today we have a Bachelor Nation guest, Jacqueline Tremmel. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you.
I guess let's dive right into it. Like, you went on The Bachelor looking for love. I would love to hear, like, what inspired you to go on the show? What was the process like for you? Just give us all the details.
Yeah, totally. I was a fan of the show for like 5 years before I went on. It was just my like guilty pleasure kind of reality TV show, and I really liked Nick Vile. Like every time he went on, and I know that I was alone in that opinion. But my friend knew that, and so when Nick was announced as The Bachelor, he nominated me for the show, but it was pretty late in the casting process. So, I mean, I didn't think anything of it. I had no particular desire to go on the show, but they casting called me like 6 months later, and it was actually pretty painful and dramatic getting on the show because it was a huge conflict with my job. And I had just started my new job, and I had to ask my boss to take 9 weeks off, which did not go over super well. But it was just such an opportunity to have like a complete plot twist in my life. And yeah, I mean, it's like one of those things will potentially not be good for you, but you'll always be curious. So I had to do it.
And so you were on Ari's season, though.
Yeah.
So with the Nick nomination, did they call you and say, like, are you just interested in looking, or?
Yeah, they didn't even. I think that he had maybe nominated me like too late in the casting process and might not even have mentioned Nick himself. So
okay.
It wasn't even. Yeah, they didn't even ask me about Nick. But I was actually really happy with Ari. I didn't know it was going to be him when they called, obviously, but.
And so then you're watching the show back now. I'm sure I saw you were tweeting. What is that like? Like, what was the first night really like for people?
First night was horrible. It was horrible. And I say that I loved filming The Bachelor. Every single day past the first night was awesome. But the first night lasts forever, and it's really uncomfortable, and you only get, and I was actually really, really lucky because it was almost like coddled a little bit by the producers, because I got like 10 to 15 minutes with him, but a lot of girls only got 30 seconds, so they had to, they went up on that rose ceremony basically being judged on their appearance and their like ability to say hi. So, it's just, it goes until like 8 in the morning, you're completely exhausted, feel kind of sick, and it's like you're surrounded by all of these strangers and everybody's kind of putting on an affect and, like trying to be charismatic and camera ready, and it just feels like just kind of fake and gaudy and tacky. But then after that, it was amazing.
How is it decided your entrance that you do?
So, it depends. I mean, as far as I know, everybody comes up with their own entrance ideas. But what happened with...
Hey, it's real life.
Yeah. No, at my office, people are running in and out the door. What happened with me was I was having trouble deciding anything, and then someone told me to list my 10 worst ideas just to kind of get my brain going. And so my first idea was to get out of the limo and say, "Where's Peter?" They're like, "Do that." So,
I love that. See, you just have to be, I think, like, having the fun and the humor. Did you have a lot of, like, fun memories from the show? Like, I mean, you went on Paradise, so it can be anything you want to share with us.
Yeah, I mean, I made a lot of close friendships from the show, both with cast and producers. I remember there was one day in Tahoe when Jenna and I were hiding in the bathroom, but we were hiding in Lauren and Mikkel and Marique's bathroom, where there was this really, really creepy light. It was a really scary bathroom, and so we wanted to like jump out and surprise them. and they wouldn't come, and we were in there for 30 minutes, and eventually we started like throwing tampons at the door so that they would think that there was something scary in the bathroom. We were like scratching, and they never came, so we just had to leave in shame. But and every time we would like be on a party bus, there'd be a dance party, and I'm a terrible dancer, but like Mikkel is amazing. Kendall and I were super, super close, so she was definitely like the person that I was linked at the hip with.
Are those people still in your life today?
Yeah, I saw Kendall and Joe a couple days ago, and then I'm leaving for Lauren and Ari's wedding tonight, actually. So I will see Jenna and Mikkel and Lauren, obviously. Yeah.
Very cool. See, that's the fun part about it. We get to see you become friends, even if you don't find the person you're looking for.
Right, yeah.
So what made you decide to go on Paradise after The Bachelor?
I mean, it's a complicated question. It was easier. Truck passing. It was easier than The Bachelor because it's a much shorter show, so I knew that it would be an easier sell to my boss. But honestly, it was just kind of FOMO that made me do it. I didn't know if I'd have another opportunity to, because it's definitely easiest the season after yours, like after your Bachelor run. But yeah, I actually talk about this a lot in a blog post that I wrote about. But there's like a psychological kind of like pull towards. I mean, honestly, it becomes an addiction, like getting more Instagram followers, getting more airtime. There was a lot that I regretted about like getting cut, my airtime getting cut so much on my season. So it was a bit of an opportunity for redemption. Did not end up going that way, but it was too hard to pass up.
Right. And on your season, what was it like when you left?
Well, my exit was very difficult because I didn't really want to go, and there were work reasons that I had to leave.
Okay.
Also, just kind of knowing, like, I got to this point where I was like, I could kind of fall in love with this guy. Like, I could probably fall in love with him, but I knew that there would be an element of, like, inauthenticity to that because I could tell that we weren't a good match. So if I hadn't had the work thing and I had stayed, it would have been very difficult to... I would have known in the back of my head that I wasn't being totally real and that the feelings weren't totally real. So leaving was hard because I left, in my mind, kind of prematurely. And the reason it was premature was because we hadn't really gotten to know each other until like 3 days prior. So it's like we just developed our connection. We just had this big romantic date, and then I had to go, and that was pretty hard. And I went back and forth in the months following that about whether I regretted it or not. So
when you had the work commitment, like you aren't allowed to have your phone or anything. How did you know that you were needed?
I had given my coworkers. Like the producer.
Oh, okay. So you were being in communication. So what is your life like now?
I mean, it's pretty similar to what it was before. I just have more friends. There was when the show first aired, I was definitely feeling like the fame effect, like people recognizing me a lot and like asking me out on Instagram and occasionally like sending gifts and things like that. But I mean, in general, like I'm much more focused back on like my career and everything that's been going on there. I never had the like huge fan following that some of these people have. It's like I was just with Kendall and Joe, and it was like photos every hour with fans. So I have a pretty normal existence.
With going on the show and then having like the courage to actually leave, did you get a lot of like from yourself necessarily you spoke, but from others, did you get like bad feedback from that or good or?
No, people were pretty nice about me leaving. I mean, and I feel bad about this because it was for a couple of reasons. One, Ari wasn't a very popular Bachelor, and then especially in light of like what happened with Becca, I think people were pleased. Coworker. People were pleased that I left, and then the other thing is they I think they framed it so that it made him look like he wasn't going to be supportive of my career, and I don't think that that's necessarily true. I think what may have happened is in the end he may have chosen a woman who like would fit more easily into his life. But from the time I had with him, he was perfectly supportive of what I wanted to do, and he told me we would make it work. So I always felt a little bit bad that he was presented as someone who wasn't supportive of like somebody getting their PhD.
What is dating like now for you?
I'm trying to think if it's changed. I mean, one thing I'll say is that immediately after the show, I was much more comfortable with like stating serious intentions, being like, I'm looking for a serious relationship. I want to get married. Whereas before, I would try to play it cool a little bit more. I also, like right after the show, met two people that I've like never been more serious about in terms of like a partner that I could like date seriously and get married to, but those relationships both failed. So I mean, I don't know if there's been like a dramatic change. Right now, I'm like waiting to hear back from grad schools, and so I'm kind of like I've regressed back into fuckboy status where I'm just like I'm not being very serious. So
is the Bachelor dating franchise something you still want to do in the future, like going back on Paradise or anything like that?
I doubt that I will. I can't say no because when the time comes, I feel like an undeniable pull towards it. I would consider doing Paradise again, but since Alon left, I don't really see how I would make that work. Like he was definitely the person who wanted me on the show and put me there.
Gotcha.
I don't really see myself finding a person through the franchise. So if I went on, it would be probably more for fun, making friends. I really liked being on TV. I liked the interviews. It was like a challenge every day that I felt like I could live up to.
Yeah.
So there's that. But I will say that both times I went on, I kind of experienced like a depression afterwards, like when it aired. And I don't know that it's good for me to go on. At the same time, though, I've kind of developed that thicker skin at this point, so I might be able to handle it better now.
Going back to that with going on the show, like the show has grown so much. I mean, they talk about all the applicants that they get and everything. And with the new season starting, what is like your advice? What do you think people do to get picked on the show?
Well, so casting works differently for every person. So my experience was casting called me, and then I just filled out an application, and then I made a video. The one thing I'll say about it is you don't have to be a certain type of girl to go on The Bachelor. I was lucky in that I didn't really want to be chosen because I knew it would upend my life. So I very much went in and was completely myself. I came across, I think, as kind of strange, definitely quirky, and never expected them to like me. But if you think about the people who are actually casting you, I mean, people like Alon Gale, I know he's gone now, but he's a very strange, unique person. And so they're not looking for, the cheerleader from high school necessarily. Like, you don't have to be that perfect, like, beauty pageant type girl. So I would just say, like, be as authentic as you possibly can. And go from there. I think my video is like a big part of why I went far in casting.
No, that's great. You were speaking like with talking like with the producers and things. So it is like a lot more people there that are filming and things. So with like the nerves, when you and Ari were together, are there also people watching you?
Yeah. Yeah. You don't forget that either. I mean, what I'll say is that you're kind of in there's a light directly on you, so you feel as though you're in a light bubble, kind of like everybody who's watching you is in shadows. But it's not just people watching you. I mean, there's people listening. I was told that when anybody kisses, it sounds like somebody eating bananas. So like the producer's there with a microphone listening to someone eating bananas, like when that's happening. That's why you develop such close relationship. Okay, I'm gonna try to find a different place. This is normally.
Oh, you're fine. It's just like cutting up a little bit, but I'll chop this part out.
Okay. So, okay, sorry. Yeah, like, it's the only place with semi-little, like, name and volume that, like, we have psych participants in my office, so it's a bit complicated. Anyway, you develop such close relationships with these people. Like, I'm very, very close with the producer, because they get to know you on an incredibly intimate level, and you just acclimate to it. It's weird, but it also allows you, like, the cool thing about my relationship with Ari is that every single time I had with him was extremely intentional. We made the most of everything. And you learn new things about yourself, like the fact that you can make out with somebody and have a deep conversation with a whole camera crew right there, and like some of your new best friends also watching.
Okay, so like you in particular, sorry, are you still, it's like cutting out a little bit for me.
Is it? Okay.
Okay, now I can hear you again. You're good. The video, I'll like put a picture up or something. It's fine. Your hair always looked amazing on the show. So what did you guys have access to, or like when you were getting ready? Like, what was that like? Give us like the behind the scenes scoop.
So I don't do anything to my hair except wash it more often than I do right now. But I just have voluminous hair, honestly. So once I got to Florida, and my hair also loves humidity, so once I got to Florida, I wasn't doing anything to it at all. In the mansion, it's not that production doesn't equip you with anything, but you are with 25 like supermodels who you're sharing a house with, and they tend to have lots of hair products. So, I mean, there's really anything you could ever want, and then plus, you can like give producers money, and they'll go buy things for you.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
And
ultimately, you are looking at what you can pack.
The final question I have, no, you're fine. I won't take up much of your time because I know you're on your lunch break, but just in general, I feel like you are a very good, like, going on the show, you become a role model for people. People watch you, they feel like they get to know you, they follow you, and you were like a strong female on the show that, put your career, made it very obvious, like you wanted to be successful. What advice in general do you just have for young women that are like chasing dreams?
That's a good question. Yeah, I would say to not freak out if you can't stay on a very linear path. So when I was in college, I was really down on myself because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and that resulted in like semi-mediocre grades and depression and constant comparing myself to others. And I remember like I went to UVA where everybody went into business and consulting, and I remember thinking like that's the height of success, is to leave college, be a consultant. And what happened to me was I went into web design initially, and I didn't do any psychology when I was in college, and I had to go back and do everything all over again. I went back to undergrad, I moved in with my parents, and even though like my path is not at all linear, it like you can still do it. You could like, it's okay if you have to take a few years off to figure it out if you're like a little bit older, as long as you don't, if you lose some of the like rigidity, I think it's much easier to be successful because you trust yourself more, and you learn to trust the world more. Because what happens when you stay super rigid about about success and where you need to go is you feel like if you meander off that path, then you'll fail, and that's not what happens. It's actually really, really possible to be perfectly successful after having made mistakes and gone into different directions. So I just say, like, if you feel like it's too late to go and chase the dream, just do it anyway. Nice more time and patience.
I would love that. Well, thank you so much for taking time to talk with us. I guess just like your final thing, you can wrap up in general, like tell us what your life has like been different since The Bachelor. Like you've got these new friends. Like what does your typical week look like when you talking like Bachelor Nation, and like are you watching the show? Like is this something you do like every season? I know you live tweeted, which you had some really funny ones. Like the Underwood.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Mrs. Underwood.
Yeah.
Now there's construction workers. 1 second.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Okay. My life looks. I mean, my week is like pretty much the same. I do watch the show. Right now, I'm doing podcasts, like recaps with TV Guide, so I have to watch the show, and I will probably be live tweeting every Monday.
Do you have a front winner?
I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure Hannah will go far. I think Kaylin's going to go really far, and probably Cassie.
Oh, I did have one more question about this show, and then I'll let you go. Or, well, I could probably talk to you all day because you're just so nice. The girl that kept interrupting people, do the producers, are they telling her, or do you think that's all her?
Okay. I have to say, because of my contract, that I can't give
Oh, okay.
And I don't know for sure, so I'll say that. My relationship with producers would not have allowed that to happen. What my guess is that she does have a different relationship with producers, and she was somebody who wanted to go in and get a lot of airtime and was willing to do anything to get it. I don't think that wasn't a natural thing to do. She must have.
All right, so that means we'll get it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's not. It's not a natural thing to do. It's not how people normally interact. And
Right.
I'm guessing she's either seen the show before or was told by somebody that would get her a lot of airtime. She came across like a producer pawn to me because it didn't seem like they had any chemistry. Unlike, I think, Crystal and Ari. Crystal was being cut until in the beginning, like she and Ari. She actually wanted to. So, yeah. It's a good way to airtime, bad way to make a good impression on anyone.
Awesome. Well, we know that we can follow you on your podcast here with the TV Guide, Keeping Up. And then on Twitter and then Instagram. You said earlier you had a blog post. What is your blog so people can find it?
Oh, it's just www.jacquelinetremmel.com, but it's linked on my Instagram.
Perfect.
So you can always find it there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We'll let you get back to work, but thanks so much for talking with me and giving us the scoop on all things Bachelor.
Absolutely. See ya.
Thank you.